The giant space station floated in the darkness above the moon called Keth Prime. Its metal walls gleamed under the light of distant stars. Inside the station, thousands of beings from different worlds walked through long corridors filled with the smell of alien air and the sound of strange languages. Ambassador Lee Taemin sat at a round table made of smooth black stone. His human hands rested calmly on top of important papers, while his dark eyes watched the alien creatures around him. The meeting room was huge, with a ceiling so high it disappeared into shadows. Above them, holographic displays showed star maps and trade routes that connected the galaxy. The reptilian being called Sith Ka hissed as she spoke. Her green scales caught. The light and her forked tongue moved quickly between sharp teeth. She represented the Vex Empire, which controlled hundreds of worlds in the outer rim. Her yellow eyes stared at Lee with barely hidden disgust. "Your people are too violent," she said. Her voice sounded like steam escaping from hot metal. "Humans fight too much and expand too fast. You take worlds that do not belong to you and build weapons when you should build farms. The galaxy was peaceful before your species reached the stars, Captain." Park So-young shifted in her blue military uniform beside Lee. Her hand moved toward the energy weapon on her belt before she caught herself and placed it back on the table. The young captain had fought in 3 wars against space pirates and alien traders. She knew the difference between words of peace and preparations for war. The bird-like creature from the Althari Federation ruffled his golden feathers. His large black eyes blinked slowly as he spoke in a high, singing voice that echoed in the chamber. The Althari were known for their beautiful cities and advanced technology, but Lee had read reports about their slave markets and brutal treatment of weaker species. Human fleets grow larger every year. The Althari delegate said, "Your colonies spread across space like a disease, taking resources that belong to older civilizations. We have maintained order in this galaxy for 10,000 years. Your expansion threatens the balance we have worked so hard to create." Lee listened without changing his expression. He had spent months preparing for these talks, studying every species represented at the table. The humans had come seeking partnership and trade agreements. Instead, they found a tribunal demanding submission. A massive creature made of living rock spoke next. His voice rumbled like an earthquake, and his glowing red eyes burned in the darkness. The Granite Prime civilization was ancient and powerful, controlling entire star systems with their advanced mining technology and unstoppable war machines. "The terms we offer are generous for such a young species." The rock being said, "Your military fleets will be reduced to 1/10 their current size. Your expansion will be limited to systems we approve. You will accept observers on all your worlds to ensure compliance. These conditions are not negotiable." Around the table, other alien representatives nodded their agreement. A floating jellyfish creature from the deep space colonies pulsed with approving colors. The insect-like beings from the hive worlds clicked their approval with sounds like breaking glass. Even the energy beings from the plasma nebulae flickered in agreement. Lee felt Park tense beside him, but he remained calm. He had expected this outcome. The intelligence reports from human spies had warned him that the Galaxy Council saw humanity as a threat to be contained, rather than a partner to be welcomed. "We came here to discuss cooperation," Lee said finally. His voice was quiet, but it carried clearly through the chamber. "Instead, you demand that we limit our growth, surrender our defenses, and accept supervision of our territories. This is not negotiation. This is an ultimatum." The Vex representative hissed again, showing her fangs. "You are a junior species barely 200 years in space. We have ruled the galaxy since before your world had cities. Accept our guidance, or face the consequences of your arrogance." Lee looked around the table, meeting each alien gaze. He saw fear disguised as authority, hatred hidden behind diplomatic language. These beings did not want to guide humanity. They wanted to control it. The silence stretched for long minutes as Lee gathered his papers with careful movements. Park stood beside him, her hand now resting openly on her weapon. The other human delegates followed their lead, rising from their chairs with quiet dignity. "The United Earth Federation withdraws from these negotiations," Lee announced. His words fell into the chamber like stones, into still water. "We came seeking partnership among equals. We found only masters seeking slaves. The alien representatives watched in surprise as the human delegation walked toward the exit. They had expected begging, pleading, desperate offers of compromise. They had not expected this quiet refusal to submit. "You make a mistake," the Granite Prime delegate rumbled. His voice shook the walls. "Your species cannot survive alone in the hostile galaxy. We offer protection and guidance." Lee paused at the doorway without turning around. "We have survived ice ages, plague wars, and the death of our homeworld. We will survive your displeasure as well." As the humans left, whispers filled the chamber in dozens of alien languages. The Vex representative flicked her tongue nervously while the Althari delegate preened his feathers in agitation. The floating jellyfish pulsed with confused colors. "Let them go," said the insect queen from the hive worlds, her voice buzzing with satisfaction. "Isolated from galactic trade and protection. They will learn their place soon enough. Their colonies will struggle. Their people will demand new leadership that accepts our reasonable terms." The Granite Prime war chief nodded his massive head. "Soon they will return, begging for the mercy they refused today. We will remember their arrogance when they come crawling back." But deep in the station computer systems, human intelligence agents monitored every conversation. Their advanced hacking programs recorded each alien discussion and transmitted the data back to Earth through hidden quantum channels. The aliens had made their position clear. They saw humanity as a threat to be contained, rather than a civilization to be welcomed. They offered slavery disguised as guidance and called it generous. As the human ships prepared to leave Keth Prime Station, Lee stood on the bridge watching the alien vessels that surrounded them. Hundreds of warships from dozens of species formed a loose blockade around human space. The message was clear: submit or be isolated. Park joined him at the viewing port, her expression grim. "They mean to cut us off completely," she said. "No trade, no communication, no contact with the galaxy until we accept their terms." Lee nodded slowly. "Good," he said. "Surprising her isolation will teach us who we really are. It will force us to rely on human ingenuity instead of alien technology. It will show us what we can achieve when we stop seeking their approval." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the alien council to debate their next moves. Behind them, the representatives continued their discussions, planning blockades and economic pressure. None of them suspected that humanity had been preparing for this possibility for years. In hidden bases throughout human space, new technologies waited to be revealed. Advanced weapons systems created by human scientists working in secret faster ships, designed by human engineers who refused to accept alien limitations. New colonies established. In regions the aliens considered uninhabitable, the Galaxy Council had made their choice. They would learn soon enough that humanity had made theirs as well. The age of asking permission was over. The age of human independence had begun. 6 months had passed since the humans walked away from the peace talks. The underground command center on New Sol buzzed with activity day and night, deep beneath the surface of the colony world. Admiral Kim Dae-ho stood before a massive holographic display that showed all of human space in glowing blue light. Every human world appeared as a bright dot connected by thin lines, showing trade routes and patrol paths. The display stretched across the entire wall of the command center, showing colonies, farming worlds, mining stations, and military outposts scattered across dozens of star systems. "The blockade grows stronger each week," reported Commander Choi Min-ho as his cybernetic eye processed streams of incoming data. The artificial device whirred softly as it analyzed intelligence reports from human spies throughout the galaxy. 17 different alien fleets now patrol our borders. No trade ships can get through their lines. No diplomatic messages receive answers. Admiral Kim studied the tactical display with tired eyes. The weight of command showed in the lines around his face and the gray streaks in his black hair. He had fought in the colony wars 20 years ago when human settlements faced attacks from alien raiders. Now he faced a different kind of war. One fought with isolation and economic pressure instead of plasma cannons and missile strikes. Dr. Yang Hijin looked up from her research station across the room. Her long black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and dark circles under her eyes showed how little sleep she had gotten in recent weeks. The brilliant scientist had been working around the clock, developing new technologies to replace what humanity could no longer import from alien civilizations. "Good news is that isolation has forced innovation," she said with a tired smile. "We have made breakthroughs in energy production faster than light travel and weapon systems that we never would have achieved if we kept buying alien technology." Sue gestured to a holographic display showing complex equations and engineering diagrams. "When we could import antimatter from the Vex Empire, we never bothered to develop our own production methods. Now we have fusion reactors that are twice as efficient as anything the aliens use." Admiral Kim nodded slowly, but his expression remained grim. "How long can our colonies survive without external trade?" he asked. "The farming worlds need equipment and the mining stations require specialized tools. We cannot produce everything we need longer than the aliens think." Yang replied with more confidence in her voice. "Humans adapt, Admiral. We always have. Our ancestors survived ice ages with stone tools and built civilizations from nothing but determination and ingenuity. On the farming world of New Busan, families like the Lee clan worked their fields under the light of twin suns. The colony had been established only 15 years ago, but already vast farms stretched to the horizon, growing crops that could feed entire populations. The farmers had learned to modify their equipment using salvaged parts and creative engineering. Lee Dongwu guided his massive harvesting machine through rows of grain that swayed in the alien wind. His wife Park Mei-Lin worked beside him, operating sensors that monitored soil conditions and crop health. Their 3 children helped with smaller tasks, learning the skills they would need to continue their family legacy. "We do not need alien fertilizers," Dongwu told his neighbor Kim Young-soo as they shared evening tea beside their farmhouse. "We have developed better methods using local materials and human science. Our crops grow faster and stronger than anything we produced with imported chemicals in." The asteroid mining station's workers like Kang Seung-won operated massive extraction machines that pulled precious metals and rare elements from space rocks. The mining platforms floated in the darkness between worlds, connected by cargo ships that carried resources to human colonies. "What we once bought from alien traders we now produce with our own hands," Seung-won explained to his crew as they watched robotic miners tear into a kilometer-wide asteroid. The aliens thought cutting off trade would weaken us. Instead, it made us stronger and more self-sufficient. The military trained constantly on bases throughout human space. Soldiers like Sergeant Bae Yoon-ji led combat drills in zero gravity, teaching new recruits how to fight in the vacuum of space using weapons designed by human engineers. The training facilities buzzed with activity. As troops prepared for battles everyone knew were coming. "We study every piece of intelligence about alien capabilities," Yoon-ji told her squad, as they practiced boarding actions on a mock enemy ship. "We learn their weaknesses and develop strategies to exploit them. The aliens think they know how humans fight. They are about to learn how wrong they are. But perhaps the most important change happened in the human spirit itself. During the months of isolation, something fundamental shifted in how humanity saw itself. No longer did they look to the stars, seeking approval from older civilizations. They began to understand their true nature as survivors who turned every challenge into opportunity. In the universities of Earth and the colony worlds, philosophers like Professor Lee Sunmi spoke to audiences about this transformation. "We spent decades trying to fit into their vision of civilization," she said during a lecture broadcast to every human world. "But we were designed for something different. Humans do not just adapt to environments, we transform them. We do not just survive challenges. We turn them into stepping stones to greater achievements." The aliens see this as dangerous because it threatens their static view of galactic order. On the industrial world of New Incheon, factory supervisor Kim Yoo-jin oversaw production lines that operated at impossible speeds. Human workers enhanced with cybernetic implants worked alongside artificial intelligence systems to manufacture everything needed for an expanding civilization. "We are not just matching alien production," she reported to the colonial government during a weekly briefing. "We are exceeding it in both quality and quantity." Our factories can build a complete starship in the time it takes alien shipyards to manufacture basic components. The changes appeared everywhere. Human architects designed cities that floated freely in space, completely self-sufficient and capable of moving to new locations if needed. Engineers developed transportation systems that did not depend on established hyperspace lanes. Artists created works that celebrated human achievement rather than imitating alien styles. Children born during the isolation grew up with a different mindset than their parents. They did not dream of joining galactic civilization. They dreamed of surpassing it. They learned human history, not as a prelude to acceptance by aliens, but as proof of what their species could accomplish through determination and creativity. As Admiral Kim watched the tactical displays in his command center, he felt a familiar sensation from his days as a young officer fighting pirates in the Outer Rim territories. Humanity was being underestimated again. It was a mistake their enemies always seemed to make. The aliens thought isolation would break human resolve. Instead, it had forged something stronger, a species that no longer needed approval from others, a civilization that had found its own path among the stars. The blockade had not weakened humanity. It had freed them to become what they were always meant to be, in the darkness of space, human. Ships moved with new purpose, carrying supplies between colonies that thrived despite alien predictions of failure. The isolation was ending, not because humanity surrendered, but because they no longer needed what the galaxy offered. 3 years after the failed peace talks, the Galaxy Council faced a crisis that shattered their understanding of power in the universe. What had begun as punishment for an upstart species had become an existential threat to their entire way of life. The humans were no longer contained within their original borders, but were expanding across the galaxy using technology that made alien science look primitive. Council Chairman Vex Prime Toron stood before the emergency assembly in the Great Chamber on Keth Prime Station. His reptilian features were tight with barely controlled panic as he addressed representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations. The massive room buzzed with nervous energy as beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia faced the reality that their dominance was ending. The human expansion continues completely unchecked. He announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. They now control star systems in regions we cannot even reach with our fastest ships. Their mobile cities appear overnight in areas we thought were uninhabitable. Their colonies thrive in conditions that would kill any other known species. The reports flooding in from across the galaxy were staggering. Human settlements had been discovered in the dangerous nebulae of the Outer Rim, in asteroid fields that should have been impossible to colonize, and even in the gravitational chaos near black holes where no civilization had ever survived. The humans seemed to treat the most hostile environments as simply another challenge to overcome. General Kiltek of the Althari Military Command presented the tactical analysis with trembling golden feathers that betrayed his fear. Our intelligence networks report technological achievements that violate everything we know about physics and engineering. They have built cities that exist in multiple dimensions, simultaneously created energy sources more efficient than our most advanced reactors, and developed weapons that make our strongest defenses completely useless. The bird-like general activated a holographic display showing recent battles where human forces had encountered alien patrols. The results were always the same. Total defeat for the alien forces, with human ships appearing from nowhere, striking with devastating effect and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. Our warships cannot track their movements. He continued, his voice growing higher with stress. They use some form of instantaneous travel that allows them to be in multiple locations at the same time. We have lost 17 fleets trying to engage them in battle. The massive Granite Prime war chief rumbled his agreement with sounds like boulders grinding together. The blockade has failed completely. He admitted, his glowing red eyes dim with defeat. They no longer need our trade routes, our resources, or our permission to expand. They have become something we never expected. Total independence from galactic civilization. Inhuman Space Ambassador Lee Taemin sat in his office aboard the diplomatic vessel. New Seoul reading the first official communication from the Galaxy Council in 3 years. The message was brief, and its tone completely different from the arrogant demands they had made. During the original peace talks, we request new negotiations to discuss mutual cooperation between our civilizations. The message read, "The Galaxy Council recognizes that circumstances have changed and wishes to establish productive relations with." The Human Federation Lee shared the message with Admiral Park So-young, who now commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. Her ships patrolled the expanding borders of human territory, ensuring that no alien force could threaten human colonies. The Admiral had changed during the years of conflict, becoming harder and more confident as humanity proved its strength. "They want to negotiate again," Lee said with quiet amusement. "The same council that demanded our submission 3 years ago now asks politely for our time." They use words like mutual cooperation and productive relations. Admiral Park smiled, but her expression held none of the uncertainty that had marked their first diplomatic mission. "Times have changed," she replied. "We are not the same species that walked away from their table. The humans who sought their approval no longer exist. The transformation was visible everywhere throughout human space. Cities floated freely between the stars, carrying millions of people who had never lived on a planet. Children grew up learning that the universe was their home, not just the worlds where they were born. Artists created works that celebrated human achievements without any reference to alien culture. On the research stations, scientists like Dr. Yang He-jin continued pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Her teams had developed technologies that seemed like magic to alien observers. Matter conversion systems that could turn asteroids into anything needed. Dimensional storage that allowed ships to carry unlimited supplies. Medical techniques that extended human life far beyond natural limits. "We have stopped trying to understand how the universe works according to alien rules," she explained to a gathering of human scientists. "Instead, we discover how it actually works and bend it to serve human needs. The aliens spent millions of years creating static civilizations that never change. We have learned to grow and adapt constantly. The military had evolved beyond anything aliens could comprehend. General Kim Dae-ho commanded forces that moved like ghosts through space, appearing anywhere in the galaxy within minutes. Using quantum fold technology and dimensional manipulation, human fleets could attack a dozen targets simultaneously while remaining completely invisible to enemy sensors. Our new strategy is simple," he told his officers during a briefing at the hidden military base in the Void Nebula. "We do not fight like any known species because we are not like any known species. We create our own rules and force our enemies to adapt to us instead of adapting to them." But perhaps the most important change was in how humans saw themselves. The species that had once begged for acceptance from alien masters now viewed themselves as the natural leaders of galactic civilization. Children learned that humans were destined to spread across the universe not as conquerors, but as gardeners who would help every world reach its full potential. The response that went back to the Galaxy Council was brief, but carried the confidence of a species that had found its true strength. "Humanity is willing to discuss cooperation between equal civilizations." It read, "We will meet at coordinates of our choosing, under terms we will establish." The previous offer of submission is no longer available, as human ships prepared for the new negotiations they carried with them. Representatives of a civilization that had transformed isolation into independence, rejection into strength, and dismissal into determination. The Galaxy Council had taught humans that seeking approval from others was a weakness. Now they would learn what humanity could accomplish when they stopped trying to fit in and started being themselves. The aliens who had once seen humans as a threat to be contained would discover that they had actually been facing the future of galactic civilization. In the vast darkness between stars, human cities moved like brilliant jewels carrying a species that had learned the most important lesson of all. They did not need permission to be great. They only needed to embrace what they had always been. Survivors who turned every challenge into an opportunity. Explorers who saw every limitation as a problem to solve, dreamers who refused to accept that anything was impossible. The age of human civilization had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The months following the Battle of New Jeju changed everything throughout the galaxy. What the aliens had intended as a quick lesson in submission had instead become humanity's declaration of independence from galactic civilization. The victory had shown the galaxy that humans were no longer the weak species seeking acceptance they had once been. Dr. Yang Hyejin stood in her expanded laboratory complex, built inside a massive asteroid that slowly rotated in the darkness between star systems. The facility had grown from a small research station into a technological marvel housing thousands of human scientists working on projects that would have seemed impossible just 2 years earlier. The isolation forced us to think completely differently, she explained to Admiral Kim Dae-ho during his inspection tour of the research complex. Without alien technology to rely on, we had to rediscover human creativity and innovation. The results have been remarkable beyond our wildest expectations, she gestured toward a sleek ship design rotating slowly in a holographic display. The vessel looked nothing like traditional human or alien spacecraft. Its hull curved in impossible ways, and strange energy patterns flowed across its surface like living light. Our new starships use quantum fold drives that are faster than anything else in the known galaxy. She continued with obvious pride. Instead of following established hyperspace lanes like every other species, we can create our own paths through space and time itself. The quantum fold technology had emerged from human research into dimensional physics, a field that alien scientists had declared impossible to master. Human physicists working without the limitations of alien thinking had discovered ways to bend reality itself, creating shortcuts through space that reduced travel time by incredible amounts. In another section of the laboratory, weapons specialist Dr. John Woo-sung demonstrated their latest defensive innovations to a group of military officers. The balding scientist activated a holographic display showing energy patterns that shifted and changed as they analyzed incoming attacks, adaptive shield technology that learns from every weapon fired at it. He explained with satisfaction. After the first shot hits our shields, the system analyzes the energy signature and adjusts to defend against that specific type of attack. It becomes nearly impossible to damage our ships using the same weapon twice. The breakthrough had come from studying how human immune systems adapted to fight diseases. By applying biological principles to energy shielding, human engineers had created defenses that actually became stronger when attacked. The more aliens shot at human ships, the harder they became to destroy. But the real revolution was happening throughout human society itself. Citizens like construction foremen Oh Sang-ho were building entire cities that floated freely in space, completely self-sufficient and capable of moving to wherever they were needed. These mobile habitats represented a fundamental change in how humans thought about civilization. We are not tied to planets anymore, he explained to his construction crew as they assembled another section of New Busan Station. If someone wants to blockade us or attack our worlds, we can simply move our entire civilization to a safer location. The floating cities used breakthrough technology and artificial gravity, life support and manufacturing that made them completely independent of planetary resources. Families could live their entire lives aboard these stations, which contained farms, factories, schools, and everything needed for human society. On the industrial world of New Incheon factory supervisor Kim Yoo-jin oversaw production lines that operated at speeds that defied alien understanding. Human workers enhanced with cybernetic implants worked alongside artificial intelligence systems to manufacture everything needed for rapidly expanding human civilization. We are not just matching alien production levels, she reported during a video conference with colonial administrators. We are exceeding their capabilities in both speed and quality. Our automated factories can build a complete starship in the time it takes alien shipyards to manufacture basic hull components. The manufacturing revolution had emerged from combining human adaptability with advanced robotics, creating production systems that could quickly reconfigure themselves to build whatever was needed. Most human factories could switch from producing farm equipment to building weapons to manufacturing spaceship parts within hours. Perhaps the most significant change was happening in human culture itself. Where once they had sought acceptance from alien civilizations, now they embraced their unique nature as a species designed for constant growth and adaptation. Philosopher and cultural leader Professor Lee Sun-mi spoke to audiences across human space about this fundamental transformation. Spent decades trying to fit into their vision of what civilization should look like, she said during a broadcast that reached every human settlement. But we were designed for something completely different from their static approach to galactic society. Humans do not just adapt to existing environments, we transform them to suit our needs. We do not just survive challenges, we turn them into opportunities for growth and advancement. This frightens older species because it threatens their comfortable and unchanging way of life. This cultural shift manifested in every aspect of human society. Art became bolder, celebrating human achievement rather than imitating alien styles. Architecture reflected confidence and innovation, creating structures that would have been impossible using traditional alien methods. Music and literature explored themes of human independence and unlimited potential. The military transformation was equally dramatic. General Park So-young now commanded fleets using tactics that no alien strategist could predict. Human ships moved in formations that seemed random, but followed mathematical principles discovered by human mathematicians working without alien limitations. Our new battle doctrine emphasizes speed, unpredictability, and technological superiority. She explained to her staff officers during a strategic planning session. We do not fight like any known species because we have developed our own methods based on human strengths. The quantum fold drives allowed human fleets to appear anywhere in the galaxy. Without warning, ships could attack enemy positions then vanish before reinforcements arrived, leaving alien commanders struggling to defend against an enemy that refused to follow. Established rules of warfare. Young humans growing up during this period of transformation developed attitudes completely different from their parents. They did not dream of joining galactic civilization. They dreamed of surpassing it entirely. Children learned human history not as preparation for acceptance by aliens, but as proof of what their species could accomplish through determination and creative thinking. In schools throughout human space, teachers like Kim Soo-jin taught students about human achievements that had nothing to do with alien approval, the development of agriculture that fed billions, the creation of technologies that allowed humans to survive in any environment, the exploration of space using ships built with human hands and human knowledge. Your ancestors survived ice ages, built civilizations from nothing, and traveled to the stars using only human ingenuity. She told her students, "You are the inheritors of that tradition of turning every obstacle into an opportunity for advancement." As reports of human capabilities spread throughout the galaxy, alien intelligence services worked desperately to understand what had happened. The species they had dismissed as primitive troublemakers had become a technological power that threatened the established order of galactic civilization. The humans had learned the most important lesson of all. They did not need alien approval to achieve greatness. They only needed to be themselves. The attack came without warning on a Tuesday morning, Earth Standard Time. The agricultural colony of New Jeju was in the middle of its autumn harvest when the sensors detected massive energy signatures appearing in the system farmers working in. The fields looked up to see alien warships dropping out of hyperspace above their peaceful world. Colonial Governor Park Hyun-woo was reviewing crop reports in his office when the emergency alarms began screaming throughout the administrative complex. He rushed to the command center where technicians worked frantically at their stations, trying to establish communication with the incoming fleet. On the main display screen, alien vessels filled the view, sleek Vex destroyers with their green hulls and plasma weapons, the golden ships of the Althari Federation bristling with energy cannons, massive Granite Prime battleships that looked like flying mountains covered in weapon turrets. At least 40 ships had arrived to attack a farming world with no military defenses. "This is Admiral Sector of the Galaxy Council Fleet," announced a voice through the communication system. "Your illegal colony will surrender immediately. All resistance will be met with overwhelming force. You have 1 hour to evacuate all military personnel and prepare for occupation." Governor Park looked around the command center at his staff. Many were colonists who had come to New Jeju seeking peaceful lives, growing food for human settlements. They had never expected to face a military invasion. The nearest human fleet was 3 days away, even at maximum speed. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Captain Lee Min-jung, the head of colonial security. Her hand rested on her sidearm, but everyone knew that small arms would be useless against orbital bombardment from alien warships, Park activated the colony-wide communication system, speaking calmly, despite the fear he felt. All civilian personnel report to designated shelter areas immediately. All military units implement. Protocol 7. This is not a drill across the colony. The words Protocol 7 triggered hidden systems that had been installed during the months of isolation. What looked like ordinary farm equipment began to transform as camouflaged weapon systems. Emerged from underground bunkers, grain storage silos opened to reveal missile launchers. The peaceful agricultural workers shed their farm clothes to reveal combat armor. Underneath, Lieutenant Colonel Song Mi-kyung commanded the planetary defense force from a bunker disguised as a food processing plant. She had been expecting this attack for months, using the time to prepare defenses that would surprise the aliens. Above ground, her troops moved into position using tunnels that connected every major building on the colony. The first energy beams lanced down from orbit targeting communication towers and power plants. The aliens were trying to disable infrastructure without killing civilians. They wanted to demonstrate their superior power and force a quick surrender, but they had badly miscalculated human determination. Target their landing craft first. Song ordered her artillery crews. Make them pay for every meter of ground they try to take. Show them that humans do not surrender easily. The first wave of alien dropships entered the atmosphere expecting to land unopposed. Instead, they flew into a storm of missile fire from hidden launchers throughout the colony. Explosions lit up the sky as transport after transport erupted in flames. The surviving craft landed hard in fields that had been mined with explosives during the night. Alien soldiers poured out of their damaged ships only to find themselves facing prepared human positions. Every farmhouse had been turned into a fortress. Every irrigation ditch had become a trench line. The humans used their knowledge of the terrain to strike from unexpected directions, then disappear into prepared hiding places. Staff Sergeant Cho Jae-sung led his squad through underground tunnels that connected the colony buildings. His team emerged behind alien positions using surprise and superior tactics to eliminate enemy soldiers who had expected an easy victory. The aliens had better weapons, but the humans knew every corner of their own world. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human defenders fought with determination born from months of isolation and preparation. They had learned that survival depended on their own strength, not on alien mercy. Every colonist, from teenagers to elderly farmers, contributed to the defense using whatever skills they possessed. But the real surprise came when the alien fleet tried to retreat. As their ships attempted to jump to hyperspace, new contacts appeared on sensors, human vessels emerging from behind the moons of the outer system, ships that moved faster than anything in the alien database using technology that should not exist. Captain Na Ji-hoon commanded the lead human ship Soul Pride, a vessel built in secret during the isolation, using breakthrough technology developed by human scientists. The ship was sleek and deadly, designed for speed and firepower, rather than the bulky defensive approach favored by alien civilizations. Fire plasma torpedoes, he ordered calmly as his crew worked at stations filled with displays showing targeting information. Show them what human engineering can accomplish when we stop trying to copy their outdated methods. The new weapons had been developed by Dr. Yang Hye-jin and her team during the months of forced innovation. Instead of relying on alien technology, they had created something entirely new. Plasma torpedoes that could penetrate any known shield system using principles that alien scientists had never discovered. The first torpedo struck a Vex destroyer amidships. The alien ship erupted in a brilliant explosion that lit up space for thousands of kilometers. More torpedoes followed as human ships demonstrated capabilities their enemies had never suspected. Ship after ship died as the alien fleet realized their technological superiority was an illusion. Admiral Sector watched in horror from his flagship as his fleet disintegrated around him. The humans were supposed to be primitive and defenseless. Instead, they fought with weapons that made his advanced ships look like antiques. His communication systems crackled with panicked reports from surviving vessels. "Retreat, retreat," the Admiral ordered. "All ships jump to hyperspace immediately. We need to report this to the Council," but the human ships were faster than alien vessels could escape. Only half the invasion fleet survived to jump away. The others floated as debris in space around New Jeju Testament to what happened when humanity was underestimated. The colonists below cheered as they watched their enemies flee. Within hours, news of the battle spread across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. The primitive humans had not only survived the attack, but had devastated a superior alien force using previously unknown technology. Intelligence services throughout alien space scrambled to understand what had happened. In the Galaxy Council chambers, emergency sessions began immediately. The confident alien leaders who had dismissed humanity as a minor threat now faced uncomfortable questions about their massive intelligence failure. The humans had developed advanced weapons in complete secrecy during months of isolation. How did they create such technology so quickly? Demanded Sithka, the Vex representative. Her earlier confidence had been replaced by nervous energy as she realized the implications of the defeat. The plasma torpedoes cut through our best shields like they were made of paper. More importantly, rumbled the Granite Prime delegate. How many more surprises do they have waiting for us? The humans obviously used the isolation to prepare for war while we assumed they would collapse from economic pressure. The Althari delegate preened his feathers nervously as he studied battle reports that made no sense according to everything they knew about human capabilities. Their ships moved faster than our sensors could track, using drive systems that violate known physics. Deep in space, human ships continued their patrols around New Jeju, ready for the next attack that would surely come. But they were no longer the same species that had begged for acceptance at the peace talks. The isolation had forged them into something new, something dangerous, something that would not be conquered or contained. The first strike had failed. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been preparing for this war longer than anyone suspected.